That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about The Night Clerk, which opens on February 21st, 2020, directed by Michael Cristofer and distributed by Saban Films.
What has Michael Cristofer done?
He's a Pulitzer Prize winner, actually,
Nice.
for The Shadow Box, which was a play he wrote that he made into a TV film. He hasn't directed a film since 2001's Original Sin, which starred Antonio Banderas and Angelina Jolie. He also directed Gia with Angelina Jolie.
Oh, wow.
Interesting, Original Sin is a remake of the François Truffaut film starring Catherine Deneuve, Mississippi Mermaid.
Interesting. Okay.
In the 80s, he's also responsible for a couple adaptations that are huge flops, such as Bonfire of the Vanities and Witches of Eastwick, which I actually like.
He directed Witches of Eastwick?
Wrote.
Oh, I'm sorry, wrote.
George Miller directed that.
Wow.
I like Witches of Eastwick. I can't defend Bonfire of the Vanities or this film.
So Michael Cristofer knows what he's doing, sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we say the story of the Night Clerk?
It's about a night clerk
Named
Bart,
played by
Ty Sheridan.
who I would know from X-Men.
Yeah, but he's also, he's in Ready Player One.
He's the lead from Ready Player One. That's right.
Yeah, he's worked actually.
I did enjoy that movie.
A very, for being such a young person, has been starred in a number of notable auteur-driven films.
Great. So Bart is a night clerk at a hotel where within the first 20 minutes he is involved in a murder in one of the hotel rooms.
Because
yes. Well, so then he is questioned by detectives and ultimately, I guess we have to just say the full thing.
Yeah, okay. So he is secretly videotaping...
I was trying not to fully spoil the movie for once, but...
Really? Why?
I don't know why. Anyway, go ahead.
He's secretly filming people in the hotel rooms, and then he kind of uses that to go home and... Because he has Asperger, so he uses those videos to mimic behaviors.
Yeah, so he claims
it's his excuse, but yeah.
So he puts cameras in these hotel rooms and records people, goes home, watches them. One of those people he witnesses live being assaulted, so he decides to rush back to the hotel to perhaps save this woman, and is a little too late because she's shot and killed. But he is there when the police arrive.
And then, since he wasn't supposed to be, becomes implicated as a prime suspect. Right. And is investigated by John Leguizamo. His mother is played by Oscar winner Helen Hunt. And
so you would think, so after after he's implicated in this murder, instead of this sort of being a thriller about how we're going to catch the real killer and how he's dealing with it, he is transferred to another hotel to do the same job where he sets up more cameras.
And there he meets the kind of femme fatale of this narrative, played by Ana de Armas of Knives Out and Blade Runner 2049.
Oh, okay. She's beautiful.
Yeah.
He starts recording her, witnesses her being abused by a man who turns out to be the man who killed the first woman.
Who is played by Jonathan Schaech. Do you remember him from the
No.
90s? He was in That Thing You Do, and then he was in that movie with Naomi Campbell, Invasion of Privacy.
No, I don't remember him.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember him. And Hush with Jessica Lange and Goop.
Okay. So he witnesses her being assaulted by this same man. He rushes to save her. He is able to sort of break it up.
Yeah, fools rush in, as they say.
He falls in love with her. They develop a relationship. She finds out, because he tells her that he's recorded not only her, but the woman who was murdered. And she wants to protect her abusive significant other. So she seduces Bart to steal the hard drive with all of the video footage. But the twist of the twist is he saved the SD cards and gives them to law enforcement.
A turn of the screw.
So in the end, the woman and the abuser are caught and presumably...
To describe it, it sounds very Hitchcockian. The voyeurism a la Rear Window, with the doubling of the women involved with one man. But
Okay, so why don't we describe what worked about the film? Do you have anything?
That's a very complicated question.
That's a very complicated question that would require a very detailed answer. Yeah, I don't know what I think works about this film.
I think that we both felt that Mr. Sheridan's performance...
Okay, so let's delve into what didn't work.
Yeah.
So Ty's performance...
is Ty, like you know him, it feels a bit archaic.
So he's portraying a young man who's on the spectrum. He has autism. He says he has Asperger syndrome. He even describes it by basically reading the Wikipedia entry for Asperger syndrome. His characterization is... I don't even know how to feel about it.
It makes you a little uncomfortable.
It made me very uncomfortable. I am not on the spectrum, so I don't know that I can say it's offensive per se, but I can predict that maybe some autism awareness folks or people who have children might be very offended by this portrayal because it's unhinged.
It's not nearly as bad as something like Cuba Gooding Jr. in Radio or Kevin Bacon in Digging to China.
It made me feel like if Andy Samberg were playing...
It's just when you see him running.
Like a guy with like a developmental disorder on SNL. Like, because there's a scene where he's running and then it's played back in flashback like twice. And it's just like... It's ridiculous.
Yeah, you know, I get...
And I'm sure one could argue that it's a fair portrayal, but...
I think they were trying to be kind of like... strike a similar portrayal as like Hugh Dancy in the movie Adam, which, as I recall, it felt a little more layered than this. We were discussing... Okay, so Helen Hunt, who has nothing to do, but there's the barest hint that she may be complicit in... at least knowing that her son is secretly filming people.
Yes.
But we were thinking like a more interesting story would be like, what about if she had been this overbearing mother that had conditioned her son to believe he has some kind of disorder?
Well, so here's my question. Is this supposed to be... I mean, this is supposed to be like a dark psychological thriller?
At the very least, like a B neo-noir.
Because if it is, then I think what you just described, like that version of a story, would have worked really well. I think there could have been many ways to work this story that didn't involve this young man portraying someone with a developmental disorder in such an over-the-top way that it's distracting, uncomfortable, ineffective. Because also he seems to have some awareness that what he's doing is wrong.
I think
so. Then he's kind of villainized.
I think one of the subtexts is John Leguizamo's character says that you get away with a lot.
Yes.
With this act.
So that statement is very complex, but then the film doesn't really delve into that.
And then it doesn't get into the complexities of it. Neither with Ana de Armas's, who is introduced as she's kind to him because she had a brother.
Who was severely autistic.
Yes, and died in an institution, and yet has the gall to kind of fuck with his emotions like this. Also, her dynamic as like this beautiful foreigner is very similar to Rain Man with Valeria Golino.
Yeah, you made that connection. I don't know if that's...
Well, I don't know if there's some connection.
Well, it needed to be a beautiful woman to seduce him.
Sure, so. But like the sympathy of the foreigner too is interesting to me.
Sure. The woman who played the first victim, the woman who was murdered, I don't know her name, and I don't know that she's not a good actor, but her delivery is terrible, and it's made even worse because we are exposed to it again when he's reviewing the video he took of the woman being...
On several occasions, actually.
Like more than once. So it's just hearing the dialogue of this actor repeat these lines about like, I'm just a friend with benefits and you just come here. It was really poorly done. So I think that was cringeworthy. The budget is low, I'm assuming. The film does feel cheap, and I think the footage that we're viewing of his makes it look even more cheap.
Yeah, especially with the kind of clunky line delivery that happens. Highlights everything that looks kind of...
There's some plot points that didn't work for me, like...
The title also, it reminds me of, remember The Night Listener with Robin Williams, and then there's The Night Manager, the series with Tom Hiddleston, directed by Susanna Bier.
This film was not dark enough.
No.
I think it relied too much on this characterization that I find uncomfortable.
Did you think of Sliver at all?
No.
Oh,
Well, the voyeuristic component. Sure.
Yeah. And Andrea Arnold's Red Road too, a little bit. And then I had just read this Kurt Vonnegut compilation. There's a story called Next Door that he wrote about this child that hears people arguing next door, and that what he thinks is a murder. It reminded me of that a little bit too. So there's a lot of. It sounds like it should be it should do gangbusters, but.
Well, I don't know what else to say except I'm predicting that this movie will offend a lot of people.
Despite a fantastic cast, I don't think that this will make any kind of impact whatsoever.
The one positive thing is I do think John Leguizamo made the most of what he was given.
Yeah.
Which is just a testament to his acting ability. Although, I mean, Helen Hunt, well, they didn't give her anything to do. So.
That's true.
But yeah, John Leguizamo, did the most with what he was given. Mm-hmm. I would give this film 1.5 out of 5 stars. And the half is just because I think I'm embarrassed to say, kind of funny.
Oh, God.
What would you give it?
It has such potential and it's poorly executed. I'd say 1.5 is fair. I wasn't going to say 2, but I can't even muster the strength to explain.
1.5 it is. Anything else?
No.
Bye.
Bye.